Welcome back to the channel. My name is Evan and this is Sense or Sense. And today I want to tell you guys why one of my favorite credit cards that I've had for a very long time that I'm getting from my Player 2 is going to be one of the best sleeper cards of 2025 into 2026. Actually, she already has the card, but I did just apply for her just a little while ago. And let me tell you why I think the Discover It credit card is the card to get. Stick around to the end. I'm going to tell you guys something that most other YouTubers don't know about with regards to this card. Either that or they don't really talk about it a lot as far as being able to get some additional value out of redeeming your cash back from Discover Card at the end. This card may be going away, guys. I don't think it will go away, but now that Capital One has officially closed on its overall takeover of Discover, who knows, it could be disappearing. I would almost guarantee you that the cashback match in the first year is going to disappear. And that actually brings me into my first point. The main reason why I got this card for my wife is, as most people know, Discover has quarterly 5% cashback bonus categories. You have to activate these either in their app or online. It's not a big deal. They send you reminder emails, and the categories change. Right now it's groceries and wholesalers. It can be restaurants, it can be gas, it can be Amazon, and it usually is those main broad categories that you're going to want to utilize your money on. Now, it's limited to $1,500 in spend per quarter, which would normally get you $75 cash back at a 5% rate. However, Discover in the first calendar year of opening your account is going to double all your cash back. So, your normal spend will get you 1% cash back. That's going to be double at the end of the year to get you an extra percent, so 2% overall. And with the 5% categories, that means all of your 5% spend up to that $1,500 in those quarterly categories is going to get you 10% cash back on up to $1,500 in spend, or $150 per quarter. So the maximum you can really take advantage of this in the first year, Discover doesn't want to really disclose this, is 150 times 4 quarters, which is $600. However, I have found that there are some other ways to maximize this, and I think it's a sleeper card. The second reason why it's a sleeper card is it tends to be very easy to apply for and get approved for. Discover has always been one of the companies out there that has ultimately given new credit card holders as well as lower credit score holders a chance. I actually got my first Discover card in 1997 when I was only 18 years old, and I've held it ever since. And it's been a great card all these years. They've always had a lot of bonus categories. I've always kept it open. I've always found it to be a very useful card. It doesn't pay the best when it comes to the everyday expenditures. You can get 2% or 2x on a lot of different categories elsewhere. But in the first year, they're going to make it 2% cash back on even just the basic spend. So, at least for the first year, it's a no annual fee card. And that brings me to my third point of why I think in 2025 in particular, it's a sleeper card. It is offering a 0% purchase on APR on all purchases for 15 months, not 12 months, but 15 months. So my wife got approved a couple months ago, and her 0% financing, APR on purchases is good until the beginning of July of 2026. And this is pretty massive because you can take this and you can parlay this and make even more money off of this offer. And this is one of the ways I think it's a sleeper card, is you're able to take advantage of these 5% bonuses, especially in these categories each quarter, and then they're going to double the cash back at the end of the year to make them essentially 10% bonuses. And the whole time you can essentially spend on this card, and you don't have to pay off the balance each month. You can just pay the minimum balance, which is generally around, I've found it to be anywhere between $40 and maybe up to $125, depending on how much credit you have on the card that you've spent on the card in the last month. But what we did was I actually I had a large tax bill due in April, and I put some of our taxes that we owed on this card to get the 2% guaranteed cash back on everyday spend. I paid about 1.8% in fees to the IRS through their processing site, so I only netted about 0.2%. But I'm now able to take that money, which was about $5,000, and I'm able to hold it with 0% APR for 14 and a half of those 15 months. So I can make about between 3 and 4%. Right now it's 4%. It'll probably go down a little bit between now and July of next year, but I'm going to be able to make at least 3%, let's say, on that money. So that's, $150 in my case over a year on the $5,000, because I'm only going to pay just a very minimal amount of that money each month. So this is just another reason why I think this Discover card is somewhat of a sleeper in 2025. I did that, and I'm still getting the 10% bonus cash back on those categories throughout the year, because my wife's credit limit on the card is $8,000. So I put $5,000 in taxes, and then I can put $1,500 on there 2 times, basically for the 3 months that we're in now, the quarter that we're in now, and then the next 3 months for the next quarterly bonus. And the whole time I'm making, maybe say $150, $200, maybe up to $300 in payments each month, just to keep a little bit of rolling credit on that card and be able to continue to utilize this card for those bonus spend each quarter. So if I find myself, coming up to the limit, I'm obviously going to pay off a good chunk so I can continue down the path of getting that 10% bonus. So overall, I'm going to be able to keep the money that I was going to use to pay for the taxes. I'm going to make about $150 over the next, year plus, and also get the 10% cash back on the category bonuses for each quarter. Now, this brings me to my fourth point. This is the one I think that most YouTubers and most individuals forget about or don't even realize is, let's fast forward a year and you have at this point, $600 plus worth of cash back sitting in your Discover account. You can go into Discover's website. You can select the options for cash back that you want. You can select cash, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. You can go to their gift cards option, and you can select. They have hundreds of gift cards available on their site. Now, here's the kicker. A lot of these gift cards come with a 5% bonus, all the way up to a 20 or 25% bonus. I've even seen them do, around 20 to 25% on several cards around the holidays, Black Friday, times like that. So if you time it right now, my wife's going about buying some clothes for my son for next school year, and they have an Old Navy and Gap promotion, and I like to buy a lot of inexpensive clothes for my son for uniform clothes and whatnot for his school through the Gap and Old Navy. They're actually doing a 20% bonus. So if you decide that you can get some Old Navy and Gap gift cards, which anybody that buys uniforms and or clothes for your kids, that they have to have multiple pairs, they get dirty and destroyed, I'm going to have to buy quite a few. I can turn that $600 into 20% more. So I can get, roughly $720 worth of Old Navy, Gap gift cards. And, maybe you say that's too much. They have hundreds of gift cards to choose from that have a 5 to 20% bonus. So what I have to say about this card is, between the bonus categories each quarter, getting you up to 10% in your first year, then you add in the fact that anything that you put on the card does not need to be paid back for 15 months because you have that 0% APR on purchases for the first 15 months. You can just make the minimum payment or a little bit more than minimum payment. That's going to make you an additional 2, 3, 4% on that money over that time frame. You then can take all that cash back after your year and they match it, and you can go ahead and get yourself up to 20% more back on that cash back. So you can see how this starts to add up. You're now approaching 14, 15% in overall cash back on those bonus categories. And I think that that's the main reasons why I think the Discover It card, if you don't have it, I think it may disappear. I think Capital One might decide to pull the plug on it or change it at the very least. I don't think that they'll continue to do the cash back match like Discover has done. I may be wrong. They might discontinue some of the 5% categories. it's going to change quite a bit once Capital One takes it over. That's just my thought. So in 2025, if you don't have to discover it, now's the time to get it. It might be the great way for you to build some of your credit, and or especially take advantage of anywhere between 10 and 15% cash back overall after the first year. And you know what? Worst case scenario is after you pay it off, you decide it's not for you. You can cancel it and move on with your life. There's a no annual fee card. Again, I don't recommend canceling credit cards after a short period of time. It can ding your credit pretty badly. But if you have quite a few credit cards open, then it might not be a big deal. But you can see here why this card is somewhat of a sleeper. They don't really advertise it. They just advertise the 5% bonus categories and the 1% cash back. But you can parlay that into the 12 to 15% range in your first year. So I would appreciate you guys if you get any value out of this video. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I bring all this content to you guys for free. I don't ask for any kind of referrals or anything like that. As far as any links that I ask you to go through, I don't ever advertise anything. I don't have any money that I make off this channel. This is all just information I want to share with my viewers. I appreciate everybody. Until next time, thank you all.